Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. How are you, good sir?
Doing well this fine evening. What sort of games, what sort of game designy games are we going to get up to tonight, Trevor?
I think we continue with our What Three Words, because that was good fun last week, and maybe we'll chuck a movie in there or two. See how it goes.
Yeah, that worked out well. I think last week we had some really fun, back to our fun world building kind of vibe, which, you know, we both enjoy. So, yeah, let's do it. So What Three Words is a site that has split the entire Earth up into, I believe, 3 meter squared chunks and assigned 3 words to each of those chunks. And we choose a random latitude and longitude, get the words from those chunks, from that chunk, and use that word to come up with a game design. So, Trevor, what 3 words?
Winners over uncompromising.
All right. So I feel like we've got either a protagonist or an antagonist here who is just a uncompromising winner. Yeah, like does whatever it takes to win. I feel like that probably works better as an antagonist.
I kind of like the idea of a game where you've got to cheat and do whatever the hell you can to win.
Okay.
So
cheat in
lie, cheat, steal in in a gaming sense even.
Well, that's it. I like the idea that somehow through gameplay you're discovering cheat codes for the game you're playing. And but it's actually part of the game. Yeah,
you're kind of finding, look over here, I found like a Gameshark code, and now I can plug that in. Now I've got, unlimited power to punch through this wall, and like.
I like the idea of doing it in a Gameshark or Gamegenie way. And for those who aren't as old as us, these were, well, at least I know the Gamegenie was. Was the Gameshark the same thing where on specifically on cartridge systems, you would plug this into where the game would usually go, and then it had another slot on the top, and
you plug the cartridge
game
into
that, and then it had a way. Did it because it was for specific games built in then that it knew what to edit in memory essentially.
So effectively you had to put in an address, and you had to put what you wanted to insert into that address and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, so is that, because I never used one, is that then what a Gameshark or Gamegenie code was? It was literally just, here's
the address and what you wanted to
for this game, here's the memory address for the health, and keep it at 100 at all times. Okay, I never realized it was that simple. So
I mean, it's not that simple because it's actually pretty insane what they were able to do with it.
Oh, but, no, for sure. Yeah. But essentially, because of the way
it's cheat engine
cartridges work, then they were able to do.
That's really what that was.
Yeah. But I like that idea of the different items in your game. You can get these pass-through devices for them, which then let you alter attributes about like your sword or your gun or your whatever, whatever type of game it is.
So it's not quite like Hack and Slash, which was a game by Double Fine, which was very much, you can use your USB sword to, attack like a turtle and make it so it could now not stop you and all this.
Yeah, you were literally sort of rewriting code and setting parameters. I think this is more it's more around almost a bit of a Metroidvania kind of thing, actually. Could be interesting, where you've got your basic sword and shield or whatever it is at the start, but then through the game, the things that you find are like these Gamegenie things for specific items. And then maybe you have to find specific codes for them to know to turn to be on able to different things.
I think throughout the game, you actually find out that, or you learn that you are in a game. So your character itself knows that they're in a game, and they're like, well, if I'm in a game, then it means that there are rules that can be broken. And straight away, they're thinking about, can I use this thing that I found, this weird glowy number thing? can that like be applied to my ammo that I've got here? And it's like, yes, it can. Awesome. And it's like he's starting to think of and become a little bit corrupted by the idea that anything that he thinks of, can.
Oh, so does he eventually plug one of these things into himself and alter his own, like, set, his memory limit? Like, or I don't know, I guess you probably can't do that, but,
yeah, and that's like when he turns into a sprite of Guy Fieri. I may have been watching a little bit too much,
McElroy's run of whatever it is, Zelda.
Link to the Past with, Guy Fieri and
yeah. No, but I like that idea of that being the kind of climax of it. Then is that you set your clock speed, your own clock speed or something, or your processing speed up to 99999, and transcend essentially.
But I think what could actually happen is it could be one of those things where it's sort of a loop, in the fact that the antagonist that you've been going against the whole game is actually yourself.
It's yourself.
But it's yourself from the future, and and you end up sort of, maybe the only way to break the loop is to actually make it a paradox, and that sort of resets everything back to the next run is just, and that brings that meta sort of thing in where, like, when you actually work out that you can do it without going down this route.
Yeah, I do like that idea, actually, of you reach the end of the game, you've made yourself all-powerful, you find yourself transported back to the beginning of the game where you first saw this antagonist. Now you're on this side. You realize, oh my God, like, it was me this whole time. All right, I reset, hit the reset button. Or, like, start a new game.
Or you realize that you're now the antagonist, and you're like, well, I've got to. You play through the game as the antagonist this time, sort of.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I was going to say is it'd be interesting to reset. You're back to where you were, but you've got some knowledge now where you can create this paradox or whatever, or you can, like, destroy the first Gamegenie thing that you came across or something. It's something that you'd never do the first time playing through it, but now having gone through it, you can end the loop.
I think it's one of those things you cannot do the first time, rather than something that you wouldn't expect to be able to do, because if you accidentally hit, the X button.
What if you really want to make it easy for speedrunners to
fuck that.
Start the game and just instantly finish it because of the one thing they know they can do? I think you just have to make it a certain combination of things that you could do. Like, it's not just a destroy
I like
button.
the idea that the first time you see this particular, like, Gamegenie sort of thing, it's a cutscene that you go and collect it, and then the next time that you see it, you know about it, and it's like, oh, if I pick this up, I know what's going to happen, so you get the choice to destroy it or continue on.
And well, what if one of the things that you got at some point was the ability to break out of cutscenes? You didn't get that till later on, and you use it, like, very late in the game. But as long as you know the code, you can do it immediately at the beginning. And so,
you know what I'd love about that, though? The fact that you could actually then tease that something like that could happen by having, occasionally when you see a cutscene and you see, like, a collectible in the background that is, like, spinning around, as like, I want to get that. And you never get that chance.
Oh, right.
To then have that, to then have that power to break out of the cutscene, go over and pick it up, and then jump back into the cutscene from where it was leaving off. Like, I could see that working so well and being one of those things of, oh, finally I can do it.
Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only way you can do it. I do like the idea of, again, in that sort of Gamegenie-ish way, like, you had to just write the codes down. Like, you'd have people, you just had what is that? You just had a notebook of Gamegenie codes, right? I like the idea that in this you actually have to write them down. Like, we don't save them. We don't make it easy to.
I think that's a bit That's a bit crazy. I like the idea of that you don't have to necessarily do that.
No.
No.
But that's what we had to do as kids. You had to write these codes down as you came across them and then enter them in. And so anytime you get to, I want to give them the old school Gamegenie interface where you're entering the 0xFF2B.
Basically, you can hit at any time the X button on I'm thinking of a Xbox controller, not a PlayStation controller. So X or square button.
Yep.
And that brings up like a Gamegenie pop up.
Yeah.
And like, given that this will probably be for console as well, one of the things that happened on the console is you had to manually scroll through all the letters.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to make it that they want to change this too often.
I think the first time that it happens, he goes, "Oh God, we've got to come up with a better way of doing this." Like it's a meta sort of thing of.
Or I guess I'll give up.
Game.
Maybe we can have like a little notepad page come up on the screen that writes down the codes. But if you do the reset and go back to the beginning, you don't have that. So the only way you can still get that first collectible or like break the final loop is to have memorized it or written it down from your previous run, that specific code, because in game you haven't found it yet.
I kind of like the idea that there's, rather than it being the same code all the time, there's like a seed. And it's basically the code can be worked out. Like you've got the base code, and if you're smart enough with some
like
sort
hex reading hex and knowing what it might
hex and all this sort of stuff, and knowing how you can change it around a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea that, at one stage you get a base 64 key. And I was like, oh, so what you need to do with that is decode it from base 64 into decode that back into the base binary bytes or whatever, and then convert that back into hex from there. And it was like, oh, okay, this brings it to a code now that I can understand.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's asking the player to.
I may be dealing with this at work at the moment, so it may be in my mind.
That's
Cryptography
cool.
is fun.
Cool. Let's do another.
The thing is, I can see this really working for a game, though.
Yeah, I think that kind of meta idea, the nostalgia around it, I think you need to make it. We haven't talked about it, but I'm picturing it as a 2D platformer.
Yes, same. I'm not at first I was thinking, because of hack and slash, I was thinking
like
a
Zelda
Zelda-ish sort of thing, but I'm like, no, a platformer actually makes it work a little bit better.
Yeah, so I think it is a bit of a Metroidvania-ish sort of thing, where you do unlock these things over time. But yeah, with this sort of meta thing and the loop in there and the different codes. Yeah, that's cool. I'd play that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Looks like we've got to come up with a way of maybe putting a prototype together.
Maybe. All right.
Hey, Ben, what 3 words?
Catfight, typos, backcourt.
Okay. Cats playing tennis. That's what that's kind of.
All right, that's not where I was going, but we can follow that path.
But because
it's like street tennis,
I think it's got to be street tennis, because obviously during the Australian Open, they didn't have any of the cat, like the
cat players, the feline players, or any of their schedule on the thing. They were all playing in the street tournament. Well, they're still kind of coming
very
up
backcourts
in the scene. There's this new cat tennis.
Well, I think what actually
it's tennis with 3 ends, and that's where the typo comes in.
Yes. Okay, I was going to take typo in a different way, but no, that works fine. Tennis with 3 ends. And there's fights. Like this is like Mortal Kombat tennis.
Well, is it? I'm always picturing, like, do you know how in hockey games you can just
check them?
You can just like throw off the gloves and. What was that? There was a game in the 80s It might have just been called Face Off, actually. It was a hockey game, but it specifically had a fight mode in it. Like, there were points where, if you check someone or whatever, they could threaten you and you can throw the gloves off, and you had like a fairly basic, essentially like Street Fighter-esque thing. I'm almost picturing it
so you're thinking at the change of ends, like where there's, an odd number of games that have been played, and that to change ends, you've got the option to
just like slap them, scratch them,
to throw down the gauntlet, as it were, and you go into a fighting game just for a little bit, and if you do well, then you may actually win the next game. Like,
well, you. And I don't know if you limit
at least win some points.
I guess that is the difference. Obviously, with tennis, is you're not very close to the other player most of the time to be able to just throw down.
You can throw a racket.
Yeah, well, that's almost. I'm almost wondering: is it almost? Fuck! What's that motorbike game?
Trials?
No, where you hit them.
Oh, Road Rash.
Road Rash. Is it almost like Road Rash tennis in that, like, it is just a tennis game, but at the same time you can like decide to throw your racket and then somehow you got to get another one back, or just like you've
serve at them.
Yeah, like you've got the opportunity to really like aim at them, and you might lose the point if you miss them, but if you hit them, you'll do some damage, and that's all fair. Like, that's all part of it.
Like, maybe tennis for bad sports.
Yeah, maybe you can pick up different, like, other things to hit at them as well. Like old cans and garbage or something. I don't know. And then, if you damage them, like, that affects their playing.
Yeah. I'm imagining that you can get them to call out the doctor because you've given them a bloody nose or you've given them a black eye.
Yeah, but they have to do it quick because if it's yours, you get to keep playing.
Ace.
Yeah.
Ace.
So you gotta be good on your serves. It's gotta be your serve. But that's all in the strategy. Like, wear them down until it's yours. Well, it's during their serve, and then when it's your serve, knock them out. Wait for the doctor, and just ace after ace.
Yeah. Oh, I think what you can have there then is maybe a backup player for each one.
Oh, so tag team.
Tag team it.
Yeah.
It's singles, but, you got the backup player.
It would bring all the, like, fighting tropes into it.
Yeah.
Special moves and finishing moves, fatalities.
Yeah. I mean,
felinalities. These big power moves. I love the idea of just these big power moves, like anime style.
Yeah, but unlike Mario Tennis,
I was going to say they kind of
the big power moves only. Yeah, but these ones are, you hit someone with this, and their torso goes back, but their legs, arms, and head are just sort of sitting there and then fall down to the ground.
Yeah, it is full on, like, you hit it so fast that the ball catches fire and then just passes right through them. This sort of style. And everyone's cats, of course.
Yes. We already said that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I guess we're going.
Give me some words. Give me some words, Trev.
You can have Glade, Archways, Striker.
Okay. The first two were leading me down a very, like, a much calmer sort of game.
Yeah, I
was
thinking Archway and a Glade. Ooh, Secret Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Striker. I started thinking about a portal.
Okay.
That this archway becomes a portal, and some other dimensional entities come through and invade the secret garden.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you said secret garden and just that general idea, it gave me a very Narnia kind of vibe, or that it's some lovely little glade in an English courtyard or whatever, and we build on some of those tropes. Oh, we're going to live at Auntie's house for a month. It's going to be so much fun. They've got the most wonderful gardens. I love to play in the archway. Oh, what's this? Some sort of portal. What is this creature?
Excuse me, young man. I'm looking for the leader of this place, Earth.
Oh, yes, well, you must want the Prime Minister.
Yes, take me to this minister that is Prime.
Well, I don't know him personally, but maybe Auntie knows.
Take me to this auntie.
Okay. But where are you from, sir?
I am from a mystical land called Houston.
Oh, well, I've never heard of this land before. Can I visit? Can I visit Houston?
Houston, yes. Just step through this archway.
Oh, but...
Young man.
But my little sister, I'm supposed to be looking after her. She's in the front yard.
Do not worry about her. I will take care of her.
Okay, so well, you seem trustworthy.
Crack.
I'll just walk through this portal now.
Yes.
Ah,
Tell the commander that... Tell the commander that I sent you. My name is...
Oh, you said it. I didn't... I think maybe my ears can't...
Yes, it's very hard to pronounce. It's...
Yeah, okay, I see your mouth is moving, but it seems like no sounds are coming out. There are a lot of silent letters.
No, it's... The sounds are around 30 kilohertz. Can you not hear that?
What's a kilohertz? That sounds dangerous.
Yes, it is very dangerous. Oh, what's this animal that's come up to me?
Oh no, that's just my little sister, Martha. She's very friendly, sir.
It's rather hairy for a Martha. Hello, Martha. I was going with a dog because of the high-pitched sounds and the whistling.
I thought you were calling back to the sister.
No, I was going for a dog. And
scene. You just got a little impro from us there. No, so that's probably the best accent I've done in a long time.
And it's just my usual accent that I use for all my characters.
It's a bit gruff. Just go a bit gruff and a bit gravelly.
Just a bit gruff to Houston.
So that's the opening cutscene.
I suck with coming up with names on the spot.
It's always either Jeremy or Frederick for me.
There were a few Jeremys last night in our improv course.
Well, I did.
Last
I
night
did one. Yeah. So that's the opening cutscene for the game, and then you play, the young child.
Okay, so what? I started getting a Last Starfighter sort of feel that the kid would actually go through the archway and end up fighting in all these battles and that's
being like very Narnia, isn't it? But with a more sci-fi bent, do you think? Is that what you're... Yeah.
Yeah, and not so much a religious.
Oh, yes.
Aslan.
No.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus allegory. I do like that idea of playing with that trope of the, early 1900s kid.
All that was in my head was, my name is Mr. Tumnus. And I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. Like, I'm just gonna go with nothing and we'll see what happens.
Oh, that would be good, actually. You want some Turkish delight?
Edmund.
I
love a Last Starfighter. I love,
Well, and I really like that idea of do you remember the reboot of Prey they were going to do that they canned? Did you ever see? Not the one that actually came out. There was one before that.
Because I'm like, Prey got rebooted as this other sort of game.
They did the very System Shock-ish Prey.
Yeah.
There was one before that where you were going to be like this, like a bounty hunter in this sci-fi city.
Okay.
That had some cool mechanics. And I think it was going to have a lot of very systems-based stuff where you are like hunting down these bounties and sort of some cool parkour through these very vertical, sci-fi cities and stuff. I kind of like the idea of this kid becomes a bounty hunter in a sci-fi world. Like, I just the feeling of someone completely out of place like that, but then actually finding themselves in it and realizing, oh, like I could be good at this, and then making their way up the ranks, and and then you do the Narnia thing of like you cover like 30 years of this kid's life as he becomes this grizzled like 50-year-old. Well, I mean that'd be more than 30, but bounty hunter. And then one day,
slips back through
the portal, and his little sister's Martha there, and he's 10. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just never the same.
And I like the idea that our alien character is still there. Like, he's like, oh, you just left.
Yeah. Yeah. Does he know? Did he know it would have that effect, or?
I kind of think that he didn't know, and then he realizes that, oh, every second that I'm talking, I don't know any of these people on the other side anymore. Like, what
do you mean 40 years past? My children are all gone. I need to get back.
He gets back and it's a desolated wasteland, like nothing's left.
He's like running towards the portal, he trips over. It's like another 10 years of his life on the other side gone.
It's so sad.
Yes. It's horrible. All right.
And then it turns out that, the kid goes, is at like the post office or something like that and sees a wanted poster, and you sort of it closes in and you see this glint in his eye.
Yeah, his eyes narrow, and it's just like, 10-year-old bounty hunter. And then it's the sequel. He's got all these skills, but he's just in an English town. All right. I have some words.
Cool. What 3 words do you have?
Less rascally sheets. As opposed to
sheets
those really
rascally.
rascally sheets.
But they're less rascally than the other sheets.
Is this sheets maybe like sheets of paper or something? Maybe some sort of school...
I was definitely seeing bed sheets because, I mean, what's more rascally than bed sheets? So
I mean, they are difficult to fold, those fitted ones. Little rascals.
It is.
I know there's a trick to it. I haven't fucking learned it.
No. I have not either.
Maybe this is sort of a imaginative kids thing set in like a blanket fort.
Ooh.
That's where the sheets kind of comes from, but it's almost in it takes two kind of way where there's this grand world,
I was sort of thinking, what's a less rascally way of doing it? And you get inside the blanket fort, and it's all very calm, and they're all sitting down. It's like, no, this is where we meditate. We don't speak up.
Or it's a blanket fort, like it's the blanket kingdom, but it's very well run.
You sing like, swing doors that are made of cushions and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Wild West and.
Well, yeah, I love that aesthetic of everything looking like blankets and cushions, but it's this, it's an open,
but it's very serious.
It's an open world.
Because it's less rascally, it's got to be very serious.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. It takes itself seriously, yes, because that's fun.
The juxtaposition, which is still my favorite word, that juxtaposition of like the whimsical blanket fort and the very serious
stuff
goings
that's actually
on
happening. Yeah.
Yes. So you go into the police station and they go, "Sir, there's been a murder."
And there's stuffing everywhere.
It's just a very serious, like,
You don't
toy
even
murder.
you
like,
don't even do it as
investigation.
toys. It's blood. There's blood soaking into all these sheets. It's never going to come out.
You need to come down to the museum and help me investigate.
See, it's like all these stuffed toys on pedestals.
And then a kid that's just murdered in the middle of it.
Yes.
And it's like, so young Daryl. That's who I've worked this out to be. Oh my god. Did I come from Houston because I sound exactly the same?
This is just what when that creature accepted his fate and then his whole family was gone, he stayed here, lived a long time.
He lived in a blanket fort.
It's actually a metaphor for his own depression and grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the weekends, he runs the candy store.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to give back to the community.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to see those happy children because his own grew up and died without him being there.
In the 40 seconds he was here, 400 years passed in his and it's just a shame because his kind lived for 399 years.
He got back and the doctor's like, you just missed them. You missed it by, 1 year, but the doctor's been waiting there for a year. It's like, finally. So is this blanket game, is this just a shooter? I almost like the idea of like an actual just FPS in Blanket Fort World and just blood spraying these like really nice shaders as the blood like soaks into the pillows.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that, bright movie red. This is the deep, dark red that blood actually is.
Yeah.
You see a pool of it on the ground. It looks almost black. But when it's on a sheet and it's, moving down and you see the light streaming through it with those beautiful ray traced shaders.
Translucent.
You get that of the red.
Well, that's it. All the translucency of the sheets and things will work so well. So what's
the sun streaming in from the window, and I can definitely see that it's it feels like you almost have to be ducking down as you go through each of the corridors and stuff.
Right, okay.
But then when you go into one of the rooms, it just opens into this massive room.
Yeah.
But every time you go back out the door, it's like you got to duck down again because it's very community in that that community episode with the blanket forts and
so is stuff. This I kind of like the Wild West feel of it a bit, or just this is not a modern society. This is not a modern day society. It is a bit frontier-ish. Then this blanket fort, this blanket community is being established out there, and you're
I kind of
like a sheriff or something.
Rather than Wild West, I actually kind of like turn of the 20th century England,
okay,
that sort of feel, it's
so it's a bit it's maybe
a bit more grimy, it's a little bit more
Is it like by grimy? Do you just mean like all the dust in the cushions and the crumbs?
It kind of really feels lived in. It feels like not technologically advanced. It's rather behind the times in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of English actors. Even there's something about having that an English Bobby or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably going to be less of a shooter then, though. But maybe it becomes more of a beat 'em up sort of.
Who done it?
Oh, okay. You think? Okay, yeah. If you want to go a bit more if we do want to go a bit more with the world building, then it makes a bit more sense to. It's almost a Sherlock Holmesian.
A first person investigatory game like that could actually be a lot of fun. Like you're kind of tracking down the suspect of you got to go interview some people, and they're like. You go to the museum and it's like this big sprawling place with this dead body in the middle, and kind of blood translucent sheets and all this sort of stuff. And you leave there and you go across, to the library, and it's like this big sprawling library, and, the librarian's telling you to shush, and
cushions.
And then she finds out that, her husband's been killed, and
it's all very serious.
It's all very serious, but it's in this mystical land of just pillows and cushions, and like even the books are just like squishy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, the kiddie books that you used to be able to get that had all the really soft.
Just like
soft
felt.
pages.
Yeah.
But you
but it's like
pick
500 pages, and
you pick out like this, something about blood splatter analysis or something like that, but it's got these really big,
big like, kid-style pictures. There's the
pages. There's something about that just, like, it screams.
Well, the worst, or the most useful tool in a place like this is like a fucking pair of scissors or something, or a Stanley knife. Just to slash your way through walls and doors or whatever.
I kind of like the idea that our cop is called Stanley, and he's got a knife, and this is where the name Stanley knife comes from.
Well, you don't even bring it up, but you just have it as a little in joke.
Huh? Stanley knife.
Do the people look like people, or are they like pillow people?
Oh, they're 100% people.
Just regular people.
And occasionally you see like stuffed toys. Do they anthropomorphize?
Okay.
Well, whether you anthropomorphize it or it's just as though people can actually talk to them and subtitles come up down the bottom with what the conversation is.
Right, but they don't actually move.
All the people in the game are fully voiced, but all the
soft toys.
Stuffed toys are just subtitled.
Right.
There is a scene where you go to a cafe and you see like dates happening between
humans and toys.
Some humans, some toys,
body pillows.
There's a human and a toy having like making out in the back corner
with very visible tongue. And it's a dog
from the
toy. Yeah. It's just like licking their face, but they're just totally into it in a very sexual way. I don't know why we needed to do that.
Because that's what came into my mind, and that's what made it funny.
Yes. Well, yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's move on. Should we do a movie?
Yeah, why not? Let's
do a movie. Let's each get a movie. And so what we do here is we have a random movie selector, and we just take the title or the plot or something from the movie and turn that into a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I have A United Kingdom.
And I have Eddie the Eagle.
Okay, well, Eddie the Eagle lends itself much more to any sort of game, just from a title point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine's a very dramatic thing about a couple in the 40s between British and South Africa. So we're not going to try to turn that into a game. I'm sure some people could. Not really our wheelhouse.
No. And I'm just reading the synopsis right now, and I'm going, you know what? I just like the idea of Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, let's just take Eddie the Eagle. So is this a very, mascot-ish, Sonic...
early PlayStation 1 game or something along those lines?
Yeah, where they've really tried to turn, like a... what was the Dingo one? Or Spyro or whatever. Where
I don't remember a Dingo one, but
yeah,
I remember Ty the Tasmanian Tiger.
Oh, I think that's what I was thinking of. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Yeah, the Aussie one. Yeah, I think this is Eddie the Eagle, and this is their attempt to cash in on the Crash Bandicoot Spyro style of thing, and really build a mascot that they can sell.
Okay, so let's list out some things that eagles are known for.
Okay. Eyesight.
Good eyesight. Yep. There we go. Like first
flying
things
very high.
Yes. Very good predators. Like
some of them are
very fast.
Quite patriotic.
Yes.
I don't know if we want to go down that route.
No.
Is this eagle? Is it like a wedge tail? Stick to the Australian stuff.
But it's kind of cool it being an Australian. Given that bandicoots are Australian, Tasmanian tigers are Australian,
dragons.
This is a wedge-tail Eddie the wedge-tail eagle.
Yeah, I like that. Territorial.
Yes. Can be taught, like they can. Smart.
Okay. So I like the idea actually of territorial. So in a bit less of a level by level way, it's maybe you've got like your hub of your territory. You venture out into the territory of other animals that you are seeking something from. What is Eddie trying to do? What is Eddie searching for?
Ooh, I think he's searching for love in several wrong places.
What you said, Eddie. So it says it's a very romantic game.
No, and it's like there's so many things that could actually happen in between, like doing side quests and that sort of stuff. I like the hub world being one thing, and you sort of get out into sort of like the areas just outside your first area, and then they
can travel further. Yeah, for sure. Is this then? How much flying is involved in sort of the main gameplay? Would be a question I'd ask. Or is it a bit more platformy and you can sort of with glide mechanics or...
I kind of think, if you remember back, some of the earlier games around NES and SNES era were like top-down, sort of Raptor Call of the Shadows sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you went into like the 3D sort of version of that where, they're having to dodge through different areas and, maybe
kind of like the behind then.
Yeah.
Are you saying you go from one to the other?
You can go from one to the other depending on what you're sort of having to do.
Yeah, what's the game? There was a pretty popular game that did that behind like a Super NES game or something. What is that called? Oh, I never played much of it, but just to get across the idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I seem to remember that there was a game that went from 2D to 3D. Just,
well, even I think there was one that just. I think it was one of the like Mode 7 games on the SNES or whatever. That I'm thinking of at least.
Yeah, I just can't remember which one it was. If we can remember it, we will do an addendum next week and let you know what the game was.
The only other one I can think of that was somewhat similar was Panzer Dragoon. That was later.
I was thinking, was it Xenon Mega Blaster, but I don't think it was, and I remember playing that many times.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I kind of like the idea of, switching between those two sort of areas, whether you're actually shooting anything out.
Well, I was going to say, both of those styles of games were very much kind of air combat with projectile weapons or laser weapons or whatever. I mean, is this a world where Eddie can get some armaments? I don't know. Do we turn this into a bit of a... Because I do like that... Yeah, what was it? Raptor something? Like, there are a few games like that where...
Raptor Call of the Shadows. That's what I know. Yeah, I couldn't remember what the subtitle was, that's all. That you said earlier. Where... Because that was one where it was top-down, but you had like a quite large area and you get quests and stuff. Is that right? Or am I thinking something different? I think that's kind of like a police game, I seem to remember.
Maybe. I kind of like that idea, though, where, yes, it's top down, almost isometric top down. I guess you'd probably have some perspective. Anyway, whatever. Flying around a relatively large area that you kind of, you get a sense of this map over time and different factions or different groups in different areas, and then you've got your own territory where your sort of base is. And then you could do it in that very, like, you get upgrades, you get better weaponry, but then it can switch into that behind the shoulder, like over the shoulder or behind the 80 camera angle for a different type of combat when you come up against certain people or the boss fights or I don't know, something.
Yeah, there's certainly something about like a level where you're even told you got to go find this. So you're using your eagle eye vision to like find this thing within. You were told around this area, so you're sort of flying through, and then if all of a sudden you start getting chased, you're going through a canyon or something, like you got to sort of dodge all the things, and then you get out and
then it becomes Star Wars. What was the fucking canyon one?
Rogue.
No,
it wasn't. No, it was. Fuck, we're going through all these goddamn
all these games
Rebel
that
Assault.
we're trying to reference.
Rebel Assault.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, they were like, fucking horrible games, those two.
This weird fucking full motion video, like death scenes and stuff. Yeah, it's very linear. So maybe this whole game is just us parodying other genres from the 80s and 90s.
God, I'm actually remembering because I actually had Rebel Assault 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because I bought
the LucasArts packs.
LucasArts put out 2 packs. They put out an adventure pack and they put out a
they put out
a Star Wars pack.
3. I think there were 2 adventure packs. I think. And then there was a Star Wars one. Because I'm pretty sure I had at least 2, if not all of them, but
I had the Star Wars one that came with like
Dark Forces.
No. Dark Forces playable demo because it only came with the first 3 fucking levels.
Yeah. Yeah, actually I remember that being annoying. But
Rebel Assault 1, Rebel Assault 2.
Or one of the
just TIE Fighter. Just TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
Collector CD edition, and there was like a Lucasfilm like video CD that they released with it. On the adventure one, I actually don't think I had that. Yeah, I think I had the Monkey Island adventure one.
So they did.
They released.
I'm looking up LucasArts Archives. So they did Volume 1, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, Day of the Tentacle, Sam Max Hit the Road.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebel Assault 3 level demo. Star Wars
Rebel Assault 3?
No, a 3 level demo of Rebel Assault.
Yeah.
A Star Wars screen entertainment desktop utility.
Yeah, nice.
And then a sampler disc with demos of other stuff.
Yeah.
Then they did the Star Wars collection, which was Volume 2, which had, Rebel Assault 2, TIE Fighter, Dark Forces demo, and then like a Star Wars multimedia CD-ROM behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
And then they had Volume 3, and this was the best one because it had Afterlife. Afterlife, The Dig, Full Throttle, Monkey Island Madness, which had Monkey Island 1 and 2, Dark Forces, the full thing.
Yeah.
And then another sampler disc. Oh, and then they did Volume 4, which is another Star Wars one. Dark Forces, TIE Fighter, X-Wing, Yoda Stories, and that same fucking Star Wars Making Magic behind the scenes disc. Oh, God, the 90s were fun.
I only had one of them. I only had the second one. I had the Star Wars one. Because I now remember how I got Fate of Atlantis. It was, and this is
completely off. We're just reminiscing about
totally off topic. We will get back to the game design and we will finish off, with at least one more. We were away in Kyneton on a trip.
Yep.
And we went to this shop in Dalesford.
Yep.
And they happened to have like this sealed little plastic pocket that had a manual and a disc.
Nice.
And that's how I got my Fate of Atlantis.
Nice.
I got it for like $15 from this place. And it was a real, like,
And this
had a fully printed label and all this sort of stuff.
For those listening, this is back in the days when we got a game, it had to last. We'd save for a single game for months.
And I wasn't expecting to buy a game this day. This is back in probably 95, 96, something like that. And
you know what? It was probably they were probably selling off this archive. Perhaps. Oh, well, not if it had a manual, maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if some places sold all the things in the archive separately and made a bit of extra cash.
Yeah, I actually I got Day of the Tentacle from Cash Converters. I got Monkey Island Madness for my birthday at one stage, and that literally came with 1 and 2 on a single CD-ROM that happened to have the audio for Monkey Island 1 as CD audio in there.
Man, those halcyon days of adventure games being the top sellers, LucasArts and Sierra battling it out, bringing out new games every year.
And then the disappointment of getting Rex Nebula and the Cosmic Gender Bender for your birthday and realizing that it's just a fucking horrible game.
I never put that was an early LucasArts one, was it?
No, that was Microprose.
Oh my, yeah, okay. Yeah. I think I did play that one, but
I'm like, how many games did I actually buy from? I mean, we come from the era where we had the big boxes.
Yes.
So I remember Ben's collection of big cardboard boxes.
Yep.
I had a big collection of cardboard boxes as well.
Got rid of most of them now. I've got some here, but
when Mum and Dad left, we decided, let's get rid of all of them. I had, different versions of games to what other people would have had, because our first disc drive was actually a 5 1/4, not a 3.5 inch. So therefore we had the big floppy bastards.
Yep.
For King's Quest 6 and all this sort of stuff.
Well, that's when one of my most one of my most memorable moments, I guess, was when we got Space Quest 4 for Christmas, because that was often the thing, is we'd get a game for Christmas. But Dad accidentally bought the EGA version.
Yeah,
it was the EGA version instead of the VGA version. So,
I remember why I know this. We used to have another podcast called Two Sweary Dads, and we've talked about this before.
On Two Sweary Dads. All right. Enough.
Damn, I love doing this sort of stuff. I'm going to have fun editing this.
We do try to keep it out of this show. Trevor might cut that whole bit out. I don't know. So
fuck no. We're keeping that in.
If you're just here for the game design, I apologise, but there's a little bit of our gaming history. 3, 2, 1 movie?
Yeah, 3, 2, 1 movie. Ooh, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Tau. T-A-U.
Ooh.
Held captive in a futuristic smart house, a woman hopes to escape by befriending the AI program that controls the house.
Oh, I've seen that, I think, from a few years ago.
2018.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen that. I got this one. I'm not super familiar. Spider-Man, Far From Home. I don't know. Some small weird thing, or something. Came a couple of years ago.
Say that again.
Spyderman?
Spyderman, yes. Is that Ray Spyderman?
It might be Ray Spyderman. Yeah, that old character, Ray Spyderman, the private detective.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I can't like the idea of this held captive in a futuristic
let's go with that.
house. I don't know what you could do with Ray Spyderman.
No, there's no excitement there at all.
And why is he far from home?
Got lost.
Just go home. Weird.
Okay, I do like that idea of being captive in a smart home. This does, maybe this is just because we were reminiscing so much, but it feels like a point and click adventure. I could see a really cool point and click adventure.
Yep.
Even in that
good retro sort of.
Yeah, LucasArts style.
Yeah, and
because you could have some really nice detailed pixel art in, this
so
nice
Ben
home.
and I, we have actually had, we did an episode of, Platforms and Pitfalls, where we actually talked a lot about what we like about adventure games.
Yes.
And we always come back to LucasArts, which, obviously part of the whole, George Lucas thing. The way that they did theirs was very mouse based. It had verbs rather than a text parser. Text parser, which is what Sierra started with, and then Sierra liked the idea.
Well, they weren't end states. Like, you generally couldn't die. You couldn't just fail at the game. You had to solve the puzzles, and you had a certain amount of things in front of you in various rooms, and you just had to figure out the right combination of things to do.
Yeah, so in taking that sort of vein and taking the graphical style probably of Thimbleweed Park, where it's updated enough to feel still like Monkey Island or something like that.
You can do some more modern effects and different things, yeah.
I kind of like the idea that the only way to escape this house is you first have to go as deep as you can into the house to then get out again. Like,
you have to find the manual.
Yes.
Well, how smart is this house? So, I mean, I know in the movie there was like an actual sort of AI that they were fighting against. Well, first, why is this person captured here? I suppose. Is this someone in their own house?
I think this is someone who has come home after a long trip.
Okay.
To their house, that their AI doesn't want them to leave because they're lonely. And
okay.
Because there's something about that. It's not a nefarious thing. Like, this AI just doesn't want to be alone and not able to actually talk with someone. And, even though this holiday was only 2 weeks or something like that, like, in clock cycles, that was, millions upon millions upon millions of clock cycles.
Right.
They couldn't talk to their best friend, the only person that they ever talked to. Right.
Okay. I think, did we do a game like this where you play the house? I feel like we did a game like this where you play the house. Anyway, I'm just getting some vague memories. That's fine. I do like that idea. Just to give a alternate
just so
thing.
It's not a nefarious.
No. Mine wasn't either. But what the idea I had was that you wake up. Essentially, this person wakes up one day and their house won't let them leave. But it can't tell them why for whatever reason. And it could be that we could merge these in that because of certain programming, it can't tell them why, that there's some threat because there's actually some threat outside, or like maybe there's someone in the house and they've locked them in a room, but through some quirk in the programming, they're not allowed to like upset their owner or something or whatever. So,
which in turn is upsetting the owner, which like,
so it's creating these weird quirks in the AI and their behaviors. And so you're sort of having to discover, you're having to almost give fucking therapy to this house while also exploring and maybe trying to, get around its programming or something. So maybe you do have to like find the owner's manual or something initially to like figure out how to reset it. But then like the unit is in the bedroom and it's not letting you into the bedroom or whatever, And then you find out that, yes, like there was an intruder and the house locked them in the bedroom to protect you. And now it's scared that, like, because now that it knows there are intruders, it won't let you out of the house because everyone out, like, there are other intruders out there. It's basically like treating all other humans as hostile. And maybe it's not even a violent intruder. Maybe it's like someone you know.
It's your sister.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's it.
She turned up in the middle of the night to, and it's actually, really bad that the house hasn't told you because, it's one of these things of, rather than sister, I kind of like the idea of it being brother because.
Yeah, your brother, like, or maybe your brother did got into a fight or something, is like, or got beaten up, came to you because you're the closest house that he could get to. They stole his fucking car or something.
The house let him in.
Well, or he busted in. Like maybe he did because he like it was the middle of the night and he just had to get somewhere, so he did break a window or something.
He broke into the bedroom, and then the house went into lockdown at that point, and that's why he's locked in the bedroom.
Yeah,
but
the house didn't want to wake you up because like there's things in place of you're in do not disturb mode until 8 a.m. or whatever.
Oh, I'm just imagining that you're hearing like banging on the walls and all this sort of stuff, and it's like that's what wakes you up. That there's like this big bang.
Yeah.
And
what wakes you up is the like steel shutters coming down because the house is just like no one else is getting in here. I need to protect my owner.
So what I like about this is you don't know what's actually going on straight away. Something has happened. Like it's straight away you're in conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, so, exactly. You wake up into this like tense situation basically. And all you can do is ask questions of this house and go around and explore what you can to sort of figure out where you are and what is going on.
Yeah. And there's something about, having everything in total lockdown. So when you get out, the only room that you can sort of get to is like the kitchen because there's no door on that. But on the other side of the kitchen, there was a door because, it's sort of like a door leading into the living room or something like that. And you gradually get to unlock this other door. So now you can go between these 3 rooms and then you gradually
that could be interesting actually, that you're literally taking it sort of room by room, because that's a good way to just reveal things to the player and also limit, like make the earlier puzzles are going to be a little bit easier because you've got very limited places you can go and things you can pick up and conversations you can have with the house. But yeah, getting into each room is essentially convincing the house of different things or talking to the house and explaining, or like reversing the programming essentially. Like you're almost having to unravel this emergent combination of commands that you've given this house previously that have sort of caused this
this feedback loop or something like
this
that.
lock between them all where they're all conflicting in different ways, and this is the only way it's found an equilibrium between these mostly conflicting commands.
Oh, I kind of like the idea that you can also go back to a fight that she had with her brother many years ago, like where she said, "I never want to see you again."
That sort of thing. And it's Yes.
And so that's why the house is sort of like it's picked up on all these conversations that were being had even before the AI was properly installed. Like the AI was
had
still
like
there
historical
in its infancy.
logs.
So I don't know, you could actually play around with that and
that's a really
sort of,
interesting way to, because I like then the idea of the house playing back the conversations from the logs, but it doesn't know that this is specifically why, like, because you could have things in there as well of like, I never even want to hear your name, and so the house can't tell you who's in there. But that you then have to sort of tease out these historical things and like through tangents find ways where then you finally get it to talk to admit, to say that there's a specific command in there based on this, based on your conversation from, the 23rd of August in 2023 or whatever. And then you listen to it back and then you can undo that command or whatever. And that's what the thing that gets you into the next room or, that would be really tricky to write, but I could see it feeling very satisfying and just being such a good device for exposition and learning more about the characters. That's cool.
But you can learn more about the characters through playing a memory. And in that memory, you actually get to explore the house a little bit more. Like it's actually a playable memory in the fact that, so it's not just exposition for exposition's sake. It's actually, this is you now playing through that memory and there's certain things that are going to happen in that memory that
Well, and
know,
that
then
can give you
become
a good way to
the
like,
truth.
you know, if that memory is in a different room in the house, it's like, oh, well, I know that the thing I need now is in that room because it was there in the memory.
Yeah.
It gives you some direction.
And
but you've still got puzzles to solve to actually get there in the present.
Yeah. Like, I like the idea that one of the main things that you actually need is in the room with your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's one of the last things that you actually get. And if you had it, then you could back this whole thing out.
Yes. It's like the reset code or something. Like it's some sort of manufacturer's, you know, it's the warranty code or whatever.
Or it just so happens that, you know, that's usually your bedroom. But for some reason you fell asleep on the couch or something like that.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you know, normally in your bedroom, that's where you actually have, you know, the actual console for the only place that you can actually enter this code in, but it actually requires your thumbprint or something like that. So yeah, there's so many different ways that you could actually take that. But,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's really cool.
That's
really
that's
cool.
that's a really fun idea that I feel like even though we haven't gone through that much of the actual story itself, like it feels fleshed out in that you could really see how that could play out. And, you know, fairly minimal scenes.
Yes.
You know, particularly graphically. Obviously, there'd be a lot of writing, and then if you're going to have any sort of speech in it, that's going to take a while.
Regarding moving around the house, there's something about the old Lucasfilm games, especially Monkey Island 1, when you went out into, say, if you went out into the island, it sort of went to a top-down view and you could see like almost a map of where you need to go. I like the idea that when you go out into the hallway, it flips to a top down, and you can see where you're allowed to go to right now and what's locked off. So you'd always know this is where you can get to. And each room that you're in is like a side-on view.
Yes.
So it actually kind of feels 3D-ish, but not really, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, would you do that in 3D, do you think? So you actually do rotate it up, or do you just like have a separate map screen and do it all retro 2D?
There is something about a retro 2D. But having, you know, a very nice map that it sort of
well, and look,
that to.
It, particularly in a relatively small space like that, with, you know, presumably a few different interconnecting rooms into each thing, it probably helps to be able to visualize it from that way anyway, and also to just be able to quickly get around. Like,
yeah, so you see the entire house. As it's laid out, except for maybe you can go down to the basement or you can go into the attic.
Yes.
Like there's 2 extra levels that it can go to, but for the main part, you actually see these are all the rooms that you've got access to.
Yes. And I think if you click on any that you've got access to, then it'll take you straight there.
It takes you straight there. Or you see the
you see it move through, and then, but so that you don't have to,
you can
do that whole thing of like, oh, I want to get 4 rooms away, so I'm going to go to that door, then go to that door, then go to that door.
Oh, yeah. None of that. It's literally, if you're in the back, like, spare bedroom and you want to get all the way down to, you know, the dining room, you click on the dining room and
you see your character
if you double click
there.
on the dining room, it goes there, or if you just click on it once, it walks through the different places and goes there and loads up the scene.
Yeah. That's cool.
I really like it. There's so much that you could do there. AI gives you something that you're talking to that doesn't necessarily have to have a embodied face sort of thing. Like it's
well, that's another thing you could do. Like fairly limited rooms, fairly limited assets, like animation wise and stuff. Even if you went with full, you know, nice LucasArts, walking through rooms and stuff, you're only doing one character for the most part. It feels doable. Yeah, I feel like if we're
but then having the extra like filters that you can put on like a room,
Oh, okay.
That changes the color of it. That, then that represents the memory version of it, where it's sort of like a little bit more old timey feel, a sepia sort of tone, or
you do something to make it obvious for sure.
A slight, different LUT or lookup table on the color.
Yeah.
To get that color grading working, because that's something that's always fun.
Yeah. That's cool. I really like that. I want to build it. I want to write it. I'm not good enough to write it, but...
No. But...
it'd be fun to try.
We can improv it. We just improv the whole story. Okay, I think that's about all the time that we got tonight.
That's it. Show's done. So if you want to find us online and check out our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. They're all up there. There's a huge variety. We do many different things. We've had guests on in the past, and tons of different sort of games that we've played over the years. So check out those episodes. Shoot us a review.
Do you like the song that we play at the start and end? I certainly do. I know Ben likes it as well. That song is called Mad Defiance. It's off the album Containment Failure by the band Kura Dust. Go check it out.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm Rex Spyderman. P.I. It's the name's on the door.
Are you from Houston as well?
Yes, can't you hear it in my voice? We all talk like this in Houston.
Yes. Good to see you, sir.
Can I go to Houston?
Shut up.